What's the word? What's the word? What's the word? What's the volume? What's shaking with y'all? You know it's that time. I gotta get on. I gotta talk. I gotta speak to the people. I gotta let y'all know how to educate yourself because a lot of people will do some foul shit, right? And they will make it look like you are the one who's contributing to the bullshit, right? And where they go wrong at is when they deal with somebody who's intelligent. A lot of people don't understand that things that they do can come back to them if they're not knowledgeable of what's going on out here in the situation. Salute to everybody pulling up to the show. The show sponsored by Stack Chicken, Hood Proud LLC, No Game Enterprises. We're discussing real, actual facts. Now, if you was watching my last vlog, I was telling y'all how I was going through a situation with a young lady, and she's not that young. She's no, she's around my age, but we was in an intimate relationship, let her call it, you know. And this woman was displaying behaviors that was questionable, and I wasn't talking about anything that was reckless or anything. It was just questionable behaviors. She was moving around like it was a joke, like it was funny, right? And she understood that I wasn't no sucker that couldn't just go for anything. So what she does is she puts a situation on me, right? And then turns around and drops the situation. Only for a year and a half to go by for her to pick back up the same situation like it happened yesterday, right? Now, what I have here is legal documents of situations that happened the first time, and she filed her so-called complaint. This was the first complaint that was filed against me, right? And I had to show up in court, go through a whole bunch of bullshit, right? And then I have another notice of appear to appear in April. See, this one was February, right? And this one was April. This was the initial complaint, a bunch of lies and bullshit. And I showed up in April for the order to be dropped. This is what this means. I showed up on this date for the order to be dropped, right? This is dated for June 5th of this year. And it's based off the same order that was from this year. Just a couple things were switched. So at the end of the day, I have ammunition that can prove that all this was a waste of the time of the people that don't need to be wasting their time. And it's going to be proven now. Because if a case was taken out on me in February, February 2025, March, April 2025, the case was dropped. No coercion, no persuasion, no nothing. I tried my best to stay away from this person. The order was dropped in April because in the month of March, that person saw me with a substantial amount of money. So the order was dropped in April just to get me back to the house. I have text messages that can prove everything. And it's real sad that people will try to line you up for your money and try to rope you in and make you believe one thing, but their motive is all they wanted was your money to begin with. And I can prove it. So if you took an order out on me and said that I was this violent person and I did all this alleged stuff. I said all this alleged stuff. Why would you turn around 2 months later, not even 2 months, a month and some change later, drop the order, and then I'm back in your house before the month of May? I do recall for my birthday, Fan Bow, what's up? Salt and sugar looks the same, right? You know it. But that's what happens when you dealing with women and you in a relationship and you thinking shit's gonna work and the woman has the motive. Now, mind you, she allegedly put a complaint. She put a complaint on me in February of 2025. In April of 2025, I had to go right back up in front of the same judge to listen to this woman drop the order that she put out on me. So basically, you're playing with the court. And now a whole year and some change later, you take the same bullshit out, but you take bits and pieces out of the second one, which is the same exact order of that one. So here's where you lose. You took out some stuff and added some new stuff. But what you failing to tell the court is that you dropped the order to bring me back in your house because you were scheming on my money. This is the legal work. It's really thick. That means there's a lot of fucking proof in there. How could you take the same complaint out on a person after you drop the complaint on that person, move them in your house with ulterior motives, and then when shit don't work out the way you want it to work out, you take out the same bullshit complaint? No, it's not gonna work. Not gonna work. Not gonna work. Not gonna work. That's not gonna work. So I say that to say this: you must know and educate yourself when it comes to the law, because the law gonna try and do whatever, and they're gonna base it off of who they feel is the one that's reliable in their cause. No, at the end of the day, it is the end. It is the end. When somebody do some shit like that, there is no going back, B. I went back the first time because the messages that were sent while this lady supposedly had an order of protection against me, it made me believe that she was apologetic for what she did in February. That's why we stood up in front of the judge in April. Only for this woman to drop all that shit and said she didn't want to go through that. No coercion, no persuasion. And then I'm with the same woman a year and a half later, and it happens. Mind you, within that year and a half, I done saved that woman's life because she was damn near dying of 103-degree temperature, and none of her family would come around her and help her out. And I was fucking with her. So I stayed and I helped bring her back to life. I'm not a person with a bad conscience that's going to let somebody have complications on my watch. I don't care if we arguing, fought, whatever. I'm not going to see you go out and completely conk out in my presence. That's just not it. And that's what I'm doing, Fan Bow. I'm not doing bad by myself. I'm doing great by myself because I have an apartment interview tomorrow. That simple. The shit gets right back to the regular programming, and I get to focus on me without the extra pressures and luggage and baggage or whatever y'all want to call it. But the shit that happened was under false pretenses, and I got the opportunity to prove in front of a court that this woman went under oath the first time, lied under oath, then turned around and dropped the charge, and then reached out to me, and then I could prove it. So at the end of the day, I don't lose. I educate myself and I know the law, and even if the shit, they can't just tell me anything. They can't just make me believe anything they're saying. This woman had an ulterior motive, and this is probably that something that they've seen on the regular. So what's gonna happen at the hearing is that the judge is gonna witness my proof and they're gonna vacate this shit. And I ain't got nothing but patience. Because when you're not wrong, you'll take your time. You'll get patience and all that. When you're wrong, you're trying to look for the easiest way out. I'm not looking for the easiest way out on nothing. But what I'm not going to do is be slandered. That's what I'm not going to be doing, especially when I got the proof. I'm not going to be slandered. Nobody's going to slander my name without facing a situation. Now, I'm going to prove that under oath, lies was told. And this is the beauty about being in this country. You have your day in court. But we all know black men are considered guilty before they proven innocent. And I thought that was the other way around. You were supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. But in a black man's case, we're guilty until proven innocent. But me knowing the law, I'm not just going to be the average black man that's just going to go for what they're going to do to me. No, nah. There's a thing called an appeal. There's a thing called a Supreme Court and everything. Because once I prove what I prove, shit's over. Stay tuned, man, because we got a lot of shit going on. I'm not going nowhere. Like, this is a situation where people try to, your name is your name. That's what you're born with. That's all you got. Rich, poor, healthy, not. Your name is still the same. So when somebody tries to damage and tarnish your name, you fight that shit to the end. I don't give a fuck who it is. It could be your own parents. And where people fail to realize is they look bad. They look bad when they try to paint the image of a person that's supposed to be so bad. And then you turn around after you paint that image of that person, you have that same person in your presence. Almost 2 years later. I can't give too much because it's still pending, but at the end of the day, update, I will be having an interview about an apartment tomorrow. So I'm praying that goes well. I will be putting in different applications. I got a lot in my favor that, I think will probably get me this place. But at the end of the day, y'all keep your fingers crossed. Make your circle a dot. Keep your grass cut. Watch for the snakes. Be observant of your surroundings. But most importantly, stack chicken. Till next time, y'all. Educate yourself. Know the law. Read that shit. Study that shit. Know what to look for. And listen clearly if you ever in legal situations, because certain keywords in the law book will bring your mind back to what you need to know. At the end of the day, stay safe. It's a cold world out here. Stay focused.